What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode and another week of the What the Puck podcast. I'm Nick. That's Gunk. And Gunk, let me talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Let me talk to you. All right.
Ready.
I am beyond pissed off right now
I bet you are.
because of what the fuck is happening in New York.
Uh,
I
prob- Problems aplenty for the NYR, baby. Oh my God.
I have never wanted a captain off this team more than I do right now.
Ooh.
I've seen a lot of people saying that we shouldn't be so hard on this fucking loser, that it's all out of his control even though it's clearly fucking not. What's the issue here? What's his issue? You suck. First of all, I don't even care what the return is that we get for you because you suck. You're reportedly telling teams that if you get traded to them, you're not showing up. So not only do you suck on the ice, you suck off the ice. And people are trying to say, oh, it's because his wife has started a residency a couple years ago in New York and they just
Right.
had a kid. The Rangers didn't tell his wife to start a residency, even though that's her profession. I'm not even getting into the wife because she's doing her own thing.
Of course.
Nobody told Jacob Trouba to have a child. Nobody on this team told Jacob Trouba to have a child. Jeff Gorton, when he signed this fucking contract, because it wasn't even Drury that had to deal with all this. It was fucking Jeff Gorton, who's now living nice and pretty up in Montreal. Signed this fucking contract, knew that Trouba was getting older, and now here we are. So now it's all forced onto fucking Drury to be able to do everything that he can to make sure that this fucking loser isn't on this team anymore. And you're not even going to help him. It comes to a point now where it's just like, we don't want you. Just fucking leave. We'll eat the cap hit. I don't care. I'll fucking eat the $8 million for the next 2 years as long as you're not on this fucking team. Jacob Trouba, you are a disgrace to New York hockey, to the New York Rangers fans, to the New York Rangers as a team. I've seen better captains than he could have ever provided within the past however fucking long he's decided to be a disgrace to this fucking franchise. You're selfish. You fucking suck on the ice. You're alright off the ice. The most I ever fucking see off the ice is doing a fucking cancer screening commercial on ESPN while they're fucking broadcasting the games of the teams that that they're fucking broadcasting of the team that beat you because you couldn't even fucking do anything right. You're a disgrace. You are childish and you are putting yourself before the team that you are playing for. Your name isn't fucking important. It's the logo on the front that you should care about. I understand you don't want to uproot your family, so don't. There's been plenty of times where players have moved away to go play for the team that they got traded to and left their family where they were comfortable because that's what made sense. You are a fucking millionaire. You can go somewhere else in America and fucking find somebody to watch your 6-month-old kid. You are I know nobody from the Rangers organization is probably watching this, but if you are, tell him to get the fuck out of here because he's a disgrace to anything that is good about the New York Rangers. It's been showing more and more because you're constantly fucking this team over on the ice and off the ice because that's why they didn't do jack shit besides fucking Sam Carrick on July 1st. Disgraceful, this fucking guy. And people are saying, oh, I can't believe the Rangers would do that for their fucking captain. Guess what? They did it to McDonough. They did it to Callahan. They did it to Leach when he was the captain, when they traded him to Boston. And they did it with fucking Messier. 4 guys that should easily be close to the Hall of Fame. 2 of them definitely are because they already are.
Yeah.
What makes you think you're any more special than any of those fucking guys? Brian Leach was leaps and bounds better than you could ever fucking dreamed of being anywhere. And now you think that you can just fucking do all this because you have a 15 team no move clause, and now you're reportedly telling teams that you're not going to show up? Fuck you. You're a disgrace. I'm absolutely disgusted by how this is being handled by every single member of the New York Rangers organization, Drury too. Because you know what? You could have done a lot more to figure out what the fuck to do. You could have just bought him out. Eat the fucking hit. You knew what it was projected to be because everywhere was fucking talking about it. And you did fuck all. So honestly, right now, I am disgusted to say that I'm a fan of this team for the way they're acting because you fucked up with Goodrow, you're fucking up with Trouba, you're fucking up the image of this team that just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now you're making them look like a laughingstock as every single other team in your division is getting leaps and bounds better than you, as you fucking saw it with Washington and you saw it with the Devils. The two teams that you want to keep fucking beating, you just got infinitely worse than. Because you know what? Sam Carrick, fucking Riley Smith, Mike Riley, those aren't players that are going to allow you to win a Stanley Cup. Maybe a couple years ago they would have allowed you to, but guess what? They weren't on this team a couple years ago. They were in Vegas or fucking wherever. Or in the fucking minors, because Sam Carrick's a fucking loser too. Disgusted I am with this team because you know what? This isn't the fucking Rangers team that I know. This isn't how the front office is supposed to be conducted for an Original Six franchise. We're not the fucking Leafs. Stop. I cannot believe that because fucking $8 million on a fucking pylon prevented this team from doing anything. Granted, a lot of the contracts that we saw on July 1st were not good. I'm glad the Rangers stayed away from some of them. But you could have done more to improve by not having Trouba on this fucking team. And guess what? For all the fucking Rangers fans that are upset about this and about that, about how Trouba's family's being affected, guess what? It's a fucking business. If you can't get over the fact that hockey is a business, go watch soccer, go watch baseball, go watch the fucking NBA so you can watch Jason Tatum get $314 million over the next 5 fucking years. I don't care what you do as long as you're not watching hockey because you don't fucking know what hockey's about. Hockey is a business in and of itself at the end of the day, and if you don't like it, that's not our fault. He needs to get the fuck out of here for the business of himself and for the business of his team so he can mind his own wherever the fuck he wants to fucking play. If he even decides to show up. Because you know what? Now, nobody wants you if you're reportedly saying that you're not going to show up. So now you're fucking the Rangers over more after it was already leaked on draft day that the Rangers were trying to trade your fucking Detroit. So it's at a point now where if you're on this team on October 12th at 7 p.m. playing against the fucking Stormin' Mormons, you're getting booed out of the fucking building, and I hope to hear chants of fuck you Trouba because you know what? Fuck you Trouba. You suck. And it should be known and screamed from the Empire State Building that you fucking suck. But I digress. How are you, Gunk?
I am fantastic. That will be a cut later on today, I promise. If I get a chance, that will be on TikTok later. That was a cut and a half. Hashtag New York Ranger rant. Fucking loved it.
Well,
I've been following this too, just because I know your heartache with it. It must have been. Let's see. Last year we had a kind of a. It wasn't very similar. It was a similar situation with when we made the trade deadline move for Curtis Lazar. Curtis Lazar's wife was pregnant in Vancouver at the time. She was very, it was something going on with her pregnancy, but he still decided because it was a business. He reported to the Devils. He went back when he could. During that season, I remember it because I remember it was a big story in Devils, in Devils land. So, yeah, this is I in the Rangers organization, and again, it's not my team, and I hate really shitting on organization, but if you haven't rip that fucking C off this guy's fucking chest as of right now, then you're not running the business right.
You're not. You're
Yeah,
not because he's still. You're not running the business right because he's still on the team. That's the
yeah.
issue. That's where the business is going wrong.
Just cut. It's a cut or like I said, the buyout, the cut buyout. Again, how how the and look at the other players on this team must be feeling that this guy was your captain, man. I mean, and you've watched captains through the years, and we talked about it on the podcast before of different captains and how important they are to a team. We were just talking of the Stanley Cup champions this year, and Barkov. Barkov is a fantastic captain. He's what the the emphasis of a captain is, and he even in this kind of situation, I don't think some of these captains like that would never pull anything like this.
Because you know what? My
It's
issue
ridiculous.
is
And he should
Truba's
be a
not going to be known for anything else besides this and fucking throwing his helmet to kickstart the Rangers' heart till they never fucking die.
right.
So you're not known for anything besides being a shit player and a fucking crybaby.
Mm-hmm.
No sympathy towards Jacob Trouba or even towards the Rangers right now. I'm disgusted to be a fan of this team with the way they're acting. This isn't the fucking team that I grew up watching, the team that I love. I'm brutally just disgusted and disgruntled with this team right now because of how they're fucking acting. Because you know what? I can guarantee you, if the Rangers made the Cup final, none of this would be fucking happening. If the Rangers made the Cup final or even made it close to winning the Cup, none of this would have ever happened. We would have just run it back or tried to,
Yep.
and we would have just figured it the fuck out next year. So, honestly, I can't. You have to be mad at Trouba because he brought it on himself. Like,
Yes, he did.
and to say that, oh, this is all a big shock? No, it's fucking not. You suck. My God, how hard is it to understand you suck? How many times were you on the ice for a goal against because you fucking allowed it? Oh, my goodness. Jake Gensel signs a 7-year deal with Tampa Bay at $9 million after Steven Stamkos got lowballed by Tampa with a contract of $3 million per year for I want to say it was 4 years. We want to talk about captains.
Yeah, seriously, what did they think? Oh, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Getzel is a fantastic player, but I don't. He's. I mean, somebody that's been established with your organization for almost 15, 16 years. You're gonna. I mean, of course, he said all the right things in his press conference in Nashville the other day, and he loves the Tampa area, and he's probably, if you think about it, he's probably one of the best homegrown Tampa like legends in that city. I mean, you think about it. I mean, even football, baseball. Football, baseball. They don't have a basketball team, but like, I mean, as a homegrown, they had Brady for a couple of years, but as a homegrown Tampa Bay like legend, he's right up there with, like I said, Le Cavier and Marty St. Louis, those kind of people. He's up there with them, and this is the way they treat him. And again, they basically traded away a couple good players for one guy, and they gotta hope that it works out for him, because this kind of contract is gonna hanker them if he gets hurt again, if he doesn't perform the way he should. This is gonna be another almost albatross around Tampa's neck. But again, they have a great coach, great organization. Let's see what they do with it. Hopefully, he can thrive and they can make get back to where they were basically.
Yeah, and like with Tampa, what I'm seeing more and more of is that cutthroat business aspect of them where they're not afraid to take risks and get rid of players.
Yes.
Kind of interesting to see where that translates across the league. You trade away Mikhail Sergachev, one of your better defenders, to Utah on draft day, and one of the biggest fucking trades that I've seen in a minute.
Yes.
And people aren't having issues with Tampa Bay doing business.
No.
Players in Tampa Bay aren't upset about business happening. So I don't really know at this point what the disconnect is across the businesses in the NHL, but
Yeah.
it's a business.
That's again, it's the way people run the way they run their thing. If you have success, you run it well, people are gonna want to come there, and or people when you leave, it's always in a not in a great way, but guarantee a couple years from now when he retires, he'll be back. The number will be in the rafters. All this stuff will be a forgotten memory. So good luck to him in Nashville again. Another player. I mean, they really stacked their stuff.
Yeah, they really did. I mean,
my God.
I mean, I'm still looking at this Stamkos deal, and I'm not sure if I'm fine with the term on it. 4 years is fine, but I just feel like 8 million is a lot.
Again, as we were watching the preview before the noon deadline opened up, before it opened up on, we were hearing Devils talk about Stamkos,
As was I.
and yeah, they were around the range. A lot of the message boards and insiders and stuff on Twitter, were more like maybe 4 for 4, maybe extended to a 5, 5 million around there, but when they pulled the 8 million, I mean, good for him, but
Because
that's a really
it's
high
very
price.
clear that he has the skill still necessary to warrant a contract like that. But
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
34 years old, he's going to be 38 by the time this contract is done.
Yep.
And I mean, granted, he just put up 40 goals and 80 points this year, but who's to say that wasn't a product of his environment? He was playing with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point all the time.
Right.
Who's to say he's going to get that same level of, not effort, but the same level of flashiness and overall skill that he had in Tampa to be able to keep that up?
Right. Exactly.
And I mean, it's a solid pickup for Nashville because of the way everything happened with Stammer, but I 8 million just seems like a lot, but you get bailed out on how many years it is. If it was a 6 year deal,
Hmm.
I could easily see this becoming worse because that takes him till he's 40.
Right.
But for right now, I think if it works out in Nashville, this is a slam dunk of a signing for them, and it just gets better and better as you go on, especially with the other guys that you signed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you pick up Marchessault, 5 years, 5 million by Nashville, and former Conn Smythe winner a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
one of the original misfits of Nashville, not Nashville, of Vegas.
For Vegas. Yep.
And something that I find interesting is that Marchessault said he doesn't feel that Vegas did enough to keep him.
Yeah. That was another thing I heard. Yep.
And I totally agree with him. A lot of the original players from Vegas kind of just got shipped out and were told to figure it out as they went. You saw it with I don't even fuck who did they trade? I think it was it Riley Smith?
They might.
I think it was right. I think it was Riley Smith. They traded. Yeah, I think they traded him to Pittsburgh,
Yes.
and even you saw it with Fleury. You saw it with Flower. How dirty they did him with a lot of different aspects. It was a cutthroat business decision. Funny how we keep getting back to business.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just
Wonder how that happens. And they ended up winning a Stanley Cup because of their cutthroat nature and all their business decisions. So to say that Vegas didn't do enough to try and keep him, yeah, I agree. I mean, Vegas is in a tough spot sometimes with cap, but Vegas seems to always be in the lead for everybody.
yes. I
So
know. Yeah.
you couldn't sign a guy that you know is producing season after season. He was even one of the better players in Florida when he played there before he got
Yeah.
traded. So, and those Florida teams were dog shit.
Yeah.
So to say that Vegas didn't do enough to try and keep him, I agree. I mean, Vegas still has one of the most solid cores in the NHL, locked up for a long time. So you may or may not need Jonathan Marchessault to really help carry you to the next level, but it's just like he's one of your original guys.
Right. He's one of the original guys, and like we go back to business. They decided that hey, we need something. We need to move on, and I mean, they try. They didn't try to keep him. They gave him the open market. He took it, and now he'll be a Nashville Predator.
Yes,
Which
he will.
he was again another one that was close. He was really close to being a Devil too, which I I would have loved, but that was probably the one out of the Devils camp that I was kind of like, oh, if we sign him, I'd be like way excited. But didn't happen. He wanted to go with Stamkos. He wanted to go with Brady Shea, who signed also another former
That's
Ranger.
a that's a awful contract for Brady Shea.
Yeah,
I said last week on the pod that I would have loved a reunion with Brady Shea. Not like that. Not like
not with,
that. Not like that. Not a 7x7. He's a very solid defenseman. He has shown very much so a lot of improvement in his career and his playing style since leaving the Rangers and joining the Hurricanes. But not 7x7.
yeah, no. I when I saw that number, I was really shocked by that.
Yeah, it's a bit much. But
Yeah,
going back real quick to Tampa Bay before we close them off. You lowball Steven Stamkos like we talk about, yet turn around and give Victor Hedman 4 years, 8 million per on a contract extension. You couldn't give that to your captain. You had enough
I
money to do it. You couldn't give it to your captain. I understand Jake Gensel's good. The window in Tampa may not be the most wide open anymore,
no.
but you could have given that to him and then worried about Hedman later. You have cap space.
Yeah, and you had another year to go for even to negotiate with him. So, it wasn't like, this was like a desperate situation where, he was going to leave, right away. I mean, you had another year of him. You could have worked on the Stamkos deal this year and then worked on his deal, or work the cap, get the space open for next year for him. I mean, I don't understand it, but hey, that again, that's how they run it. That's what they wanted. So that's how they wanted the defenseman. They figured maybe he had a little more in the tank than Stamkos did, and decided to put their money in him and with Getzel.
Uh, Fair enough. I mean, a lot of the players on this team aren't getting any younger, so it makes sense. But moving back over to Nashville real quick before we also close off on them,
Okay.
they announced the Yuzi Saros signing at 8 years, 7.74 million per. And honestly, good contract because it allows the goalie market to realize this is where the baseline should be.
Right.
For the caliber of player that Soros is, he deserves the money that he's getting for the amount of time that he's getting. He's going to be a fantastic goalie in this league for a long time.
Absolutely. That's a good. That was a great extension signing for him. They're putting that team together. Trotz is really working it, man, and he's working this summer. And let's see how once it comes together in October. Let's see how everything melds together.
It definitely looks like it should meld together pretty
Yeah,
well. I'm fairly confident in the Nashville Predators' ability to be a genuinely competitive team. And I'm feeling the same way with a lot of the moves that Utah has made. They're
absolutely.
making a lot of moves that the Coyotes would never make, acquiring Sergachev, signing guys that aren't retired. Um, it's been fine and dandy work over in Utah for the Storm and Mormons.
Love that
I
name.
just,
I love that name.
Utah Hockey Club is so lame and cheesy.
Hey, they got a great defenseman. Welcome John Marino to the Utah Hockey
Man,
Club.
I'm a, I'm not even a Devils fan. I'm a miss Adam Hamway going John Marino. I'm gonna miss it so much. That was my favorite.
Okay, so really quick, so, and as we'll talk about real quick, schedule came out yesterday.
Yes.
Their game at Prudential Center is on Columbus Day, the 14th of October at 1 p.m. And I told my daughter, I'm like, we are going to that damn game. I need to go to see the Utah Storm and Mormons live and in person. And hopefully, I mean, of course, I want the Devs to win. But if Utah scores one goal, hopefully it's an assist or a goal by Mister John Marino. Oh, I would love to hear it just one more time. Or maybe he'll get a penalty and just do it just spitefully because he is kind of a fun guy. So that would be kind of funny. So
I agree. That would be
we can go with
great.
that one too, though.
But
But I can't wait to hear it. Let's see that, and I would love to be there in person, but we'll see how it goes.
yes, absolutely. But best of luck to him in Utah. He was one of my favorite players on the Devils. He's such a solid player. You never hear anything bad about him
Yeah,
in terms of
he
how
was.
he plays on and off the ice.
Yeah, like I said, when I saw he was being offered up as trade bait, I was kind of like, I don't know, understand. But then, as July 1st comes, now we understand why. So here we go, Devils talk.
Devils talk. Brett Pesci, 6 years, 5.5 million per. You got a guy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This was a great move. This is what they needed to 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 tighten up this year was the defense. We know the goaltending sucked last year. I mean, it was stuck beyond suck. We understand that. But that defense was not good once Hamilton was gone. Once Hamilton was gone, the defense went to crap. And you can't blame the kids. The kids tried their hardest. Luke Hughes tried his hardest. When Nemec was called up, he played fantastic as a rookie. I mean, they got these kids a couple of good. I don't the Dylan deal. I'm not too sure of. I think they overpaid a little bit for Dylan.
A partial bit I feel is as an overpay. I
Yeah,
like the contract for the Devils, but I do agree
yeah.
that it's a little bit of an overpayment.
I think it was a little bit of a stretch just because with the Pesci signing, with the Pesci sign, we got Hamilton, Siegenthaler. We could throw Pesci with Hughes, and we could have Nemeth with whoever your sixth defenseman is. So, like I said, the Dylan move, I mean, he's basically playing six. He's playing six defensemen, and you paid almost 4 million for. I mean, it's kind of steep for third pairing defenseman, but highlights I've seen of him, he's a hitter. He's
A little
good.
steep for a third pairing defenseman. It's not 8 million.
Yeah, well, there you go. But like I said, great defense. That's what this team need. They didn't need any more offense. They needed to solid up that D, and Fitzy solid up the D and solid up the bottom six. Two moves that are fantastic, and they're both returning Devils.
Yeah, I do want to
Hey,
talk about one thing with
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Fitzy. No, you're good. He kind of got fleeced the other day on a trade. Uh,
Oh, you want to
trading
bring? Oh, see now? Okay, go ahead.
trade away Alex Holtz and Akira Schmid for Paul Cotter and a pick.
Yeah,
Why?
that one. I think we're gonna compare. We're gonna go back to comparisons almost.
Let's hear it.
We spent the first 15 minutes of this podcast talking about how the Rangers organization cannot move off or they can't do shit. This move by the Devils just proves the opposite of that. They came to the conclusion that Alex Holtz is not going to be a productive player on this team or is not going to be a part of his organization.
But
And
do you
they
feel
made
like do you feel like that's a product of the player or a product of the team that was around him? Because he was never given that much of an opportunity when Ruff was a coach. So I don't feel like that's really like a product of him. I feel like
right.
that's a product of the system, and he never really got a chance in the new system.
I understand that's totally understandable, and that, but even you hear a quote from Fitzgerald saying that it's something like I said, just it wasn't clicking with that system. You're right. It was the player. Who knows if it was the system? Thank God it's gone. Hopefully, but this is what I'm talking about. The move of just getting him to a new team, giving the kid an opportunity to go to Vegas and see what he can do. Maybe he can develop better in Vegas. Same thing with Akira Schmidt.
The
I
funny
mean,
thing for Fitzgerald to do would be to trade him to Buffalo to play with Ruff again.
oh,
I think he'd retire. I think Holtz
I,
would just retire at, like, what is he, 21, 22?
yeah.
I think he would just straight up retire.
The poor kid's gonna go to Sweden. I mean, he's just gonna go play in the Swedish league. Yeah, but again, I think it was just a matter of what? Let's give this kid an opportunity somewhere else, another opportunity, and this is where we go back to your situation where you're signing your basically your bust for years, and we are getting rid of ours, and that's where the difference is. And again, I think for some reason this is going to be the title of this episode is business. It's they're running two different businesses, and the Devils decided to move on from their so-called bust to give them another opportunity. The Rangers are keeping theirs, so that's the difference between the two organizations. I mean, I think they could have got a little more for him because of all the talk we hear from Devils fans for the last year and a half about we're gonna get this guy for Holtz, we're gonna get that guy for Holtz, we're gonna get this for Holtz. We ended up with a fourth line winger and a pick. I mean,
And everybody was posting on Twitter. All these Devils fans were posting on Twitter the one nice goal that he scored against the Flyers. That doesn't count.
yeah,
That doesn't
it doesn't.
count.
And the funny part is that we brought up that goal on an early episode early in the season. I remember we specific and we fun. It was funny because we actually like we went into like TikTok and watched it on live on the podcast. So what the Puck podcast legend will be a New Jersey Devil. Hallelujah, baby. So again, that was like I said. Yeah, they could have got a little more for him, but good luck to him. I hope
Absolutely.
he I hope he thrives in Vegas. Just don't score against the Devils. Go score against other teams. Go be happy. Go score goals, man. Alex Holtz. I said I was a fan of his. I was sad to see him go, but like I said, again. So now we go back. We have a couple ex Devils now coming back into the fold with Stefan Nason, who that was one of our favorites back in the Bad Devils days. He
Hmm.
was always one of our favorites. I always enjoyed a good Stefan Nason game when we were sitting at Prudential with about like 3,000 people, watching a horrible Devils team versus a horrible somebody else team that we got cheap tickets for. I mean, Stefan Nason was always one of my favorites, and I didn't even know where he went. And then the last year when he popped up on the Hurricanes and he was doing really well, I'm like, where was this guy when he was playing in our team? Well, apparently we decided he was good enough and we brought him back. Again, not much in contract. Good, we'll fit good on the third, fourth line. You know, a good pickup for the Devils. That's exactly the player that they needed, though. A nice, hard nosed third line guy, basically replacing the guy, not replacing, but adding the grit and the toughness, like the guy that we don't talk about anymore, who got didn't get a qualifying offer, but we won't talk about those guys. F them. And another great. Oh, and my daughter is super excited for the last deal of the day. The tuna has been reeling in as the Nick does. Tomas Tatar has returned to the place of New Jersey.
Pretty nice fish you got there.
It's only a 1 year deal for about a million five. Great, great signing. If he's a bust here, oh well.
I don't care. Welcome back, Chunk Light, baby.
Well,
He's back.
Tatar is back. The tuna is back. Whatever you can get out of him is going to be great.
Absolutely. And
not
especially
great.
with the way that the Devils are building this team for this year, they want to get far fast. And I think with the moves that they've made, they're easily going to be in a much better position than they were even at the start of the season when the entire team was healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And overall, for first day and the couple last days of free agency, an A+ for the Devils. I love all the deals. Like I said, I love the defenseman deals. I love the forward deals. let's see what I love the draft pick, the big kid Slavin. Love that pick. Thank God we again that was great. That was another move where we added more players than we actually needed. We traded away next year's pick to get the Markstrom. That sounds stupid.
The
To get
March.
The Markstrom, to get Markstrom back from Calgary, and we still had that 10th pick, and we got a solid big defenseman who's got skills and is nasty. Love that. Devils fan again. I hate to be like the Redskins of the off season, like in football, but I am super excited for this season to come. It starts in Chechnya or Chesney, where the hell it is.
Czechia.
Some Chesney, where the freak it is. In
From okay.
Prague, Lindsey Ruff for 2
Yeah,
games.
buddy.
That's exciting.
Uh, Talking about former Devils coming back, another former Devil signed another contract. This time in San Jose. Tyler Toffoli at not 6 years, 4 years, 6 million. Little bit bloated of a contract in terms of money, but I feel like Tyler Toffoli is still fantastic in the way he plays his game and what the and for what the Sharks are looking for. Because right now the Sharks are just looking for anybody. Uh,
They'll
at,
take anybody.
at 32 years old, I mean, this contract takes him till he's 36. Other than the 6 million for somebody that had 55 points last year, I think that's a pretty solid contract.
Yeah.
Uh, Honestly, I wanted to see Toffoli on the Rangers, but
Yeah, like I said, the shocker was just where he went. It wasn't the money wise. I kind of figured that was gonna be the contract, but it was where he went. It was like San Jose. I was really shocked by his signing with them. It kind of like I figured he wanted maybe go to a contender. Like you said, again, I really thought the Rangers were the biggest possibility. I was hoping for a reunion with the Devils, but it was more like wishful thinking. But I had him as a Ranger. I had him actually. From looking at the rosters, I had him maybe going to the Blackhawks. I really liked that move. If they would wanted it. They went with Teravainen, from Carolina for their really big signing, and Bertuzzi, of course, in Chicago. But yeah, I said it's sad. I don't know. Fucking
yeah,
tired.
it's I hear you.
I love my
Absolutely, it's a pretty good contract. We can
yeah.
we could kind of rapid fire through these next ones. You mentioned Bertuzzi and Teravainen by Chicago. Bertuzzi at 4 years, 5.5 million. Better than the 1 year, 5 million contract he got from Toronto last year. And
Yes.
Tyler Bertuzzi adds to the Infinity Gauntlet of original 6 teams that he's played for. He's played for 3 of them.
Well,
And
we'll get him at
Teravainen.
like 2. That's what they always do.
And Teravainen, another guy that was reportedly being signed by the Rangers, gets signed by the Blackhawks for a reunion at 3 years, 5.4 million. Solid contracts bolster Chicago even more. Chicago looks like they're getting ready to be a more dangerous team coming in now that you have Bedard in for a full year. You've had
Yep.
Bedard play for a full year already. You have your second overall pick that's excited to play. You're signing these guys, getting reunions back, so the band is buzzing over in Chicago, and
Absolutely.
in let's go over from we talked Chicago and I mentioned Toronto. We could go over to Toronto. Oliver Ekman Larson at 4 years, 3.5 million. Toronto just needed defensemen. Whether they really need right-handed defensemen, which they got with Chris Tanev, and we'll get into that contract in a sec.
Okay.
But I think OEL is a solid pickup. He's definitely going to be playing. He's going to be playing in the lineup. So to pick up OEL after winning the cup and at a solid contract worth what I feel he is worth, because the contract that he had in Vancouver was an albatross to try to carry around, and to even
Right.
get him off of that contract is fantastic for any team in the NHL.
Oh, absolutely.
Just won his cup, is looking for a different opportunity, and gets it with Toronto with a team that's making moves to seem like they are stronger than they were.
Right.
Uh, Chris Tanev was signed to, I want to say, a 6 year contract worth $4.5 million. And he's 34 years old, so this contract is going to take him till he's 40. Um, you're not getting him for offensive prowess at all. His career high in points is 28. He had 19 last year. Um, you're getting him to be a shutdown guy that is going to hit block shots because in the regular season last year, he had 45 hits, 207 blocks, and in the playoffs, 31 hits and 73 block shots.
True.
So he is a warrior that is going to shut down top guys. You saw it in when he was with Dallas during the Vegas series. He shut down Eichel
Yep.
to a point to where he didn't get a goal scored against him when paired against that line. Eichel had 7 points in that series, and not a single one of them was when Chris Tanev was on the ice.
No,
So for Toronto to bolster their defensive core the way they need to, they're not relying on an Ilya Lyubushkin and a Timothy Liljegren. I mean, they just re-signed Liljegren, which I respect. I love that
yeah.
contract and him as a player. So to keep him around is really solid. But to bring in Tanev, bring in OEL, you are it's another team that is just instantly better than where they were at the beginning of last season. Even when they got knocked out of the playoffs, they are instantly better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just the defense alone is gonna help this team solidly. And again, we go back to like the Devils, the goaltending situation. Toronto's goaltending was really questionable last year. This is gonna help their defense. This will help their goaltender. If Wall is the guy, he'll have a big wall in front of him because these guys will block shots. They'll play nasty. They'll play defense. And again, Toronto has plenty of offense. They have their guys on offense. They don't need offense. They did basically what the Devils did. They took it. They took their money. They invested in defense because they know watching Florida, tough, gritty, and you could. And this is another thing too. I've noticed in the league now that Florida won the cup is a lot of these signings are tough, hard, rugged guys that are signing with teams that need those kind of guys.
Mm.
You know, teams are looking into their core and they're like, we need to get tougher, we need to get bigger, we need more defense on our team, and that's where these teams that are basically and you know the teams like the Devils, they're always considered fast moving, quick moving team up the ice, up and down the ice. They're changing that situation now with these signings. Toronto, same thing. You think, you think Matthews, you think, uh, uh, Tavares, you think Marner, you think those guys, offense, going up the ice, scoring goals. Now they got solid defense, toughness in the locker room that will change the culture a little bit on that team to a little more tougher, rugged more team. And I feel like again, a lot of signings that teams that are like right on that fringe of like playoffs, on the verge of like they have young guys and they need toughness are signing these guys, and it's really making this league really balance out, and it's going to be a fantastic season coming up with all these signings. And we still have plenty of guys still out there that haven't signed yet that
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Like, I'm honestly surprised that Tarasenko hasn't been signed yet.
and when I was reading the money, I would love to have him on the Devils.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a perfect Devil. I mean, he'd be the perfect a top six guy with a Hughes or a Heischer on one of those lines.
I agree, and I was even seeing that there could be a potential reunion with the Rangers, and honestly, I would at this point I'll fucking welcome it. It's better
Yeah,
than anything. It's better than Riley fucking Smith. We
yeah.
can
No.
talk about that trade real quick. The Rangers acquire Riley Smith from the Penguins for
During your rant, I was even thinking like I knew this was coming just because I was so surprised the Rangers did not do any, like I mean, like I said, the carry whatever, but like I was waiting for the Rangers to make some moves, and when I didn't see anything coming across the ticker at all, except for the few little things here and there, and then watching their guys move on from other, going to other teams, it's like wow, like where's Drury? Where is he? I'm I was shocked. I really was surprised.
Yeah, you got to worry about the guys that are going to be RFAs next year. I mean, you're getting ready to give up almost 25 million in space next year to guys. So, I mean, it's kind of understandable, but to only have to give up picks, I guess, is good. And Pittsburgh is
Yeah.
retaining a quarter of the cap hit, so it's only going to be around 3.5 million now. I think it's fine enough, I guess. It's another guy on the carousel of does this fucking work with these two idiots that we decide are first liners? Um, so hopefully, I mean, 2 3 years ago, this is great. This is fantastic. But Riley Smith, you gotta hope that he gets back to the way he was playing when he was in Vegas. And good luck, he's in his 30s. You're not getting that.
And
Um,
can we get a Smith out of this area because my Smith has moved on to Dallas now as just a little thing because I love me a good Brendan. I'm only kidding. I love me some Brendan Smith and he's signed with the Dallas Stars. I think it's like 1 year for again like a 1.5 mil. Good luck to him. He'll probably won't even play half the games because their defense is pretty damn good. But you know, good luck to him though.
mm,
I mean, Brendan Smith's always a great guy, and I'm sure his brother's the same way. But he'll be on your team, so enjoy.
I don't think that's his brother.
Is it his brother? Right?
I
It's
don't
his
think
brother.
so. Is it?
It is. I would sound really fucking stupid right now.
Hold on. I don't think it's his brother.
Oh,
Uh,
I know he had one in the NHL.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
You're right, Chime in the back. There is lots of Smiths. I can't believe we got to look this up. This is
that is his
terrible.
brother.
Thank you. Gunk won.
That is
Everyone
okay,
else.
Gunk. Okay, Gunk.
Thank
Attaboy,
you.
Gunk. Fuck yeah, Gunk. Woo!
Tip of the hat.
Tip of that.
Tip of the hat.
Couple more signings before we wrap up here. I'll just rapid fire them off real quick because they're just kind of weird or out there. Brandon Montour, 7 years, 7.14 million by Seattle. 30
Yeah.
years old, takes until he's almost 40. Way too much money. Bad contract.
Bad contract.
Nikita
Agreed.
Zadorov, 6 years, 5 million by Boston. Pretty solid. Gets it's a replacement for the people that they lost. They lost Jake DeBrusk at 7 years, 5.5 million by Vancouver. Anthony Duclair, 4 years, 3.5 million by the Islanders.
Good signing.
Very good signing.
The Islanders.
Duclair is one of my favorite players in the NHL. I wish the Rangers didn't move on from him the way that they did.
Yeah.
But best of luck in the island. Warren Fogle, 3 years, 3.5 million by LA. Good signing. Was fantastic for Edmonton. We have an entry-level contract by the Flyers for Matvei Michkov.
That game changer right there.
That is game-changing.
That game changer for Philadelphia, man. This kid, if he comes in as advertised, man, watch out for the Flyers.
He's showing to be one of the guys that they needed to get over the hump. And you just got to figure out now what you're doing with goaltending over in Philly, and you have a pretty solid team set up, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the last deals, the unstoppable force meets the immovable objects in Edmonton. Jeff Skinner gets bought out by Buffalo and signs a 1-year deal worth $3 million, having never made the playoffs in his career. And Edmonton re-signs Corey Perry at $1.4 million for the year and always loses in the Cup Finals. Let's see what happens.
And watch your woman around.
Yeah, watch your mothers. Watch your mothers.
Mrs. McDavid, hide.
And yeah, that's pretty much it so far on what we know throughout free agency. The draft was pretty cool over in the Sphere.
Very, very good draft. My Devils pick at 10 was fantastic. Anton Slavin, beautiful pick. Rangers made a late pick, right? They
Mhm.
made
They
was
made pick number 30 with E.J. Emery, a kid that I've never fucking heard of. He said that he plays his game around the same style that Keandre Miller does, which means that he's going to get caught too far up in the offensive zone and cause one of your wingers to have to come back and play defense because you couldn't do a flashy play. So now an offenseman is trying to play defense, and the cycle continues. That's exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. But gang, this episode is exactly what I needed for my mental
yeah,
stability. It was great talking to you, Gunk. Gang, it was great talking to all you all this week.
fantastic.
We will talk to you probably for one or two more episodes before we go on and take a break for the summer. And we have our NHL schedules out already, so you'll have an idea of when we're going to be coming back too. Of course, if anything comes up throughout the summer, we'll always keep you updated. If a lot of big stuff happens, we can always hop on and record an episode for you. But
Absolutely.
this has been another episode of another week of the What the Puck podcast. I've been Nick. That's been Gunk. Gunk, I love you. Gang, we love you. Have a go on, baby. Peace.
Peace.